Hello! In this presentation, we will examine Küçükali's work published in 2015 titled Discursive Strategies and Political Hegemony. This study reveals how political power is discursively constructed through a systematic linguistic analysis. The starting question is straightforward, but consequential. How does a governing party hold on to public support while pushing through policies that carry obvious political costs? The argument running throughout the book is that those costs are absorbed at the level of discourse. What matters is not so much what the AKP says, but the particular linguistic forms its messaging takes. The book represents the first systematic linguistic study of the party from a critical discourse perspective. In the literature, three different frameworks stand out for understanding the AKP: Islamist, liberal conservative, and neoconservative. According to the neoconservative approach adopted in this study, religion is used as a functional tool for neoliberal transformation, which offers the highest analytical explanatory power. The central thesis of the book is that moderate Islamic discourse is not merely an expression of ideological belief, but a strategic and functional tool serving specific political and economic goals. Hegemony is reconceptualized at two levels. First, structural hegemony, which is neoliberal capitalism functioning as an institutional order at a global scale that individual actors can't easily alter. Second, concrete hegemonic projects within this structure, such as privatizations, education reforms, and urban transformation. Hegemony is reconceptualized at two levels. First, structural hegemony, which is neoliberal capitalism functioning as an institutional order at a global scale that individual actors cannot easily alter. Second, concrete hegemonic projects within this structure, such as privatizations, education reforms, and urban transformation. The main finding of the study is that religious discourse and the neoliberal agenda do not exclude each other. On the contrary, they complement one another. Methodologically, a total of 13 texts from the 2011-2012 period, when economic discourse was most intensely produced, were analyzed, 2 belonging to Erdogan and 11 to various ministers. The analysis focuses on 5 primary discursive strategies: how actors are named, what traits are attributed to them, the perspective from which events are presented, the logical and rhetorical justifications used, and how the discourse is intensified. The primary strategy used in the economic success narrative is the topos of numbers. Figures are selected not to reflect reality, but to create a specific perception. Accordingly, 3 types of distortions stand out. Negative data, such as unemployment and debt, are concealed, while only positive data are presented, selective indicators. Growth figures are exaggerated using specific base years and calculation methods, misleading calculations. And the discourse of macroeconomic success renders the structural struggles of society invisible, obscuring reality. When these 3 distortions combine, economic discourse turns into an immune, self-validating narrative. The second fundamental strategy is to direct blame toward the opposition instead of responding to criticism directly. In classical rhetoric, this is called trajectio in alium. The logic of the strategy is clear. Never defend the policy, always attack the source, and delegitimize the criticism. At this point, the historical topos is invoked, constantly pointing to the CHP's 1923 to 1946 period as the source of today's problems. Thus, the party positions itself as a savior, correcting the mistakes of the past. The third major finding involves how the violence applied by law enforcement is discursively legitimized. This process is constructed by redefining the social actors involved in public events and reversing their roles. The first step of this strategy is the direct naming of individuals seeking rights or participating in protests as bandits, çapulcu, or terrorists. In this way, protesters are positioned as direct threats to public safety. In the second step, roles are reversed. The law enforcement forces exercising violence are presented as the actual victims who are attacked and wronged while simply trying to perform their duties. In the final stage, this perception of victimization and threat is used to argue that the police must be granted expanded authority. For instance, severe outcomes, such as the 5 deaths and 8,000 injuries during the 2013 Gezi Park events, were presented as justified grounds for extending the powers of security forces. The social costs of neoliberal transformation are clearly visible in specific sectors. In the field of health, alongside World Bank-sponsored privatization, a class-based treatment model has settled in, leading to structural problems where patients are even forced to sign promissory notes or face imprisonment over unpaid bills. A similar marketization is present in the field of education. Through implemented reforms, students are now positioned as clients, and educational services have been outsourced to private firms, nearly doubling the costs. In the housing and real estate sector, a monopoly was established through Toki. The share of housing cooperatives, which previously held a substantial role in housing production, was driven down to just 7%. Directly supporting urban rent and transformation projects. To summarize, Küçükali's study provides linguistic evidence demonstrating how the AKP utilizes Islam as a functional neoconservative tool to take structural steps toward neoliberal transformation and produce social consent. If you want to learn more about discursive strategies and political hegemony, you can download the book for free. Thank you.